Hi, welcome back to Community Conversations. I'm Tina Howard, and I'm here today with the Blue Haven Bee Company. I've got Andrew Brown and Brianna Kidd with me. So thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having us. We're really excited.
So I say Blue Haven Bee Company, but the truth is you're a whole lot more than that now. You're a meadery and a retailer of arts and soaps and lotions. And tell us a little bit about what Blue Haven Bee Company is today, and then we're going to go back a little bit in history.
We are a raw honey company, so we raise honeybees and we have different varietals of raw and unfiltered honey. So it's straight
You
from
mean
our
most
bees.
honey is cooked?
A lot of honey. Actually,
did not know that.
75% of honey sold is not real honey. So most honey you buy in the grocery store is not real honey.
You're kidding.
No. because-
Okay, we're 3 minutes in. I have learned something already.
Yeah.
So raw honey, okay, and you collect it straight from the bees.
Right, and when you're buying honey, you always want to buy raw and unfiltered honey. Organic really doesn't mean anything. You're looking for raw honey.
Raw honey that's unfiltered.
Unfiltered,
Okay.
straight from the bee.
Okay.
So, for example, this bottle of honey takes 1,200 bees their entire life to make. So it's really, you don't get a lot, it's hard to come by, and so we actually take the honey straight from our bees and put it in a bottle for you to enjoy. And right now we have 5 different varietals of honey.
Wow, that makes me feel a little bit bad. But but I have had the honey and it is outstanding.
Right.
And you'll really know the difference if you buy the grocery store honey or if you get this kind. And honey is interesting because it's a food that's been around for a long time, but it also has antibacterial properties and it's really good to take for allergies, right?
Right, your local honey is great for allergies.
Wait, why local honey?
Because it has all of the things blooming, that makes you have allergies. So, for example, like I said, 1,200 bees their entire life, and then they have to visit 4.5 million blooms to make this one bottle of honey.
Wow.
So if you're ingesting what makes you have allergies and you take it daily, then when allergy season rolls around, then your body's already immune to that because you're giving a daily dose.
So I need some ragweed honey.
Yes.
Me too.
Oh, me too. Me too.
I joke about it, but seriously, you can take honey, a spoon or two every day will help if you have allergies.
Definitely.
Do you have, well, if you come to the store, I'm sure you can give guidance on what kind.
Right, but you always want to look for wildflower local honey because it's all the various flowers and trees.
Well, that makes sense.
Yes,
Right?
unless you, like if you had a Tupelo allergy, only if you consume Tupelo honey, it would help with your Tupelo allergy, but not much more than that.
Right. So Tupelo honey is one of those designer honeys, which is good.
Yeah.
But if you're really taking this for medicinal and allergies, you want to go for the wildflower.
Right.
That's local to here.
Right.
That is great information to know. What else do I need to know about honey?
Well, like you said, it's naturally antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, it's anti-aging. So
Anti-inflammatory as well?
Right. So
Taken by mouth, right?
yes, and it helps, just kind of ward off illness, that kind of thing. And it's also really good for your skin.
Did you say anti-aging?
Yes, yes, exactly. We actually have our products, our Blue Haven products are sold in over 200 stores across the country.
Wow, okay. We're going to come back to that.
And we're in a lot of spas, and they actually use our honey in facials. It's great for breakouts, acne, because of its antibacterial properties.
Sure.
It's good for that, as well as it's super moisturizing. So it's great to put on your skin and then let it sit and enjoy a nice little facial at home with your honey. So it's very versatile.
It is versatile. I had no idea. I thought it was just in tea and taking it by the teaspoon.
They used to use it for on cuts and scrapes and burns as a natural neosporin because before they had antibiotics, that was pretty much one of the only ways to help cuts or
Right. If you had surgery back before we had all the pharmaceuticals, they would actually pack honey in that wound and then sew you up. And that would help kill all the bacteria and heal really nicely.
And they're doing it with wildlife now as well.
Okay.
Like I know sea turtles that they packed it full of honey, and it helped tremendously.
Oh, wow.
Because it was immune to some antibiotics, so they are using honey, going back to that actually.
That's
now.
really interesting because the antibiotic resistance that we have right now makes it necessary to go try something different. And in this case, we're going back to what people
Right.
used before.
Right.
Well, fantastic. That's good to know. Do you also sell, maybe not in this bottle, but something else for a salve or a lotion made with
Right.
honey?
We
Okay.
have honey lotion.
Okay.
We sugar scrubs, beeswax lotion bars, soaps, and lip balms, and we have them in a variety of fragrances. So something for everyone, even men.
Oh, we love your soap. You know that.
I know you do. I know.
And I do. And it's funny because the soaps that we have used at home, if you have, especially in the winter and you have really dry skin, and that soap that you sell is really good for your skin.
Fantastic.
We can definitely attest to that. And I like the lavender, and Bo likes the peach grit soap because it has that little bit of a coarse thing in it that gets
Right.
Yes.
the dead skin off. But so I really love the soaps, and the soaps are made from the same the collection from the bees, and then you can make different things out
Right.
of
We
it.
use our beeswax and our honey in all of our body care.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense that you can treat yourself both, taking it orally, and you can also use the lotions and things like that.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah.
Did you ever think when you were a kid that you would be in this line of business?
Not at all. Not at all.
So your brother and sister.
Yes.
So when you were growing up, who's older? Which one of you is older?
I'm older.
Okay, so you're the big sister. Okay, when you were growing up, what did you want to be?
It varied, really. I went on this occupational therapy kick, and
Okay.
I thought that it would be so cool. And
You
then,
knew what that was when you were a kid? That's pretty amazing.
I would say like middle school to high
Yeah,
school. My
still.
best friend growing up, her mother was an occupational therapist.
Oh, okay.
So I was around it a good bit. And then I went to the University of North Georgia, and I started taking biology. And then I realized, okay, this is not for me. So then I changed, and I'm really glad I graduated with a business admin bachelor's emphasis in marketing. So it kind of applies to what I do
I
now.
don't even think they had that when I was in school.
Yeah.
That's great that you were, because you're really working in your field.
Yes.
Definitely.
And I love marketing. I love people. I love relations. I love what I do, and every day is different. So I love when I go into work, it's always going to be something new or different, or people will come into the store and I see people that I went to high school with that I haven't seen in a long time. And so it's really nice. I really enjoy and love what I do.
That is great. And how about you, Andrew? What did you want to be when you were little?
I started out wanting to be a musician, and so I went to the University of Georgia for that, and then quickly.
So you are a musician.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
what do you play?
Saxophone, piano, and violin.
Wow.
But I mostly focused on saxophone when I went to the University of Georgia, and then once I started, I quickly realized that isn't the path that I wanted to take.
Okay.
So I switched to art and loved it.
Okay.
So I graduated with a degree in art.
When you were a kid, were you always sketching and drawing, or were you more the music guy?
A little bit of both.
Both? Okay.
My mom is an artist, so she kind of always made sure we had plenty of art supplies, and we were constantly had options to create. So I always did a lot of creating when I was a kid, but then I also got into music around first or second grade, and then it kind of took off from that.
nice.
So.
We were never allowed to have coloring books as children. My mom would say, you don't need to follow the lines, draw what you see. So we were always taught to be really creative, and we were always taught to think outside the box.
Wow. What a great thing to teach your kid.
Right.
To not just, stay in the lines, but make your own and think outside.
Yeah, I remember one weekend I was like, I really just want to make a scarecrow. I think it was in fall. And she was like, okay. And then like in 15 minutes, she had like a pillowcase and straw and paint. And, anytime you wanted to make anything, she would make sure you had the tools to create something. So
I would definitely say she made our childhood pretty magical.
for sure, she definitely did.
Did you grow up in Cannon?
We grew up in Royston.
Okay, close by then.
Very close by, yes, ma'am.
And you were in Royston, so were you, I guess, in nature a lot if you were in Royston as opposed to growing up in the city?
Right. Very small
Very much
town.
so.
I mean, just college football rivalries, with Hart County. And we played outside a lot and caught lightning bugs and did all the things I guess we did back then.
What a great childhood.
It was fun.
And then when you left home to go to college, did you think, I'll come back here, or did you think?
Never,
I never thought I would come back.
never.
Ever.
So where did you go after college? Did you come right back to Cannon Royston, or did you?
There are two different stories.
Yeah, so I went to North Georgia, University of North Georgia in Dahlonega, and I met my husband there, and I worked at a day spa and salon, and I started my career off with an internship for marketing for this business, and it grew really fast, and then I started doing freelance marketing for a lot of local Dahlonega businesses and helping out. I was really involved in the chamber, and I loved living in Dahlonega. I actually lived there for 8 years total, so 3 years after I graduated. And then we decided, that's when I had the entrepreneurial bug. And I said, you know what? I think that we can do this for ourselves. So my husband, Caleb, actually helped us get going, get the business running, and we're at Christmas, and Andrew was still at UGA and with an art degree, and we were just brainstorming what we could do.
What year was this? About
2012.
12. Okay.
And we were just talking, and my husband and I were like, we're going to start an organic market, a butcher shop, and it was going to be called the Butcher's Garden. And we wrote this awesome business plan, but we realized we needed like at least $500,000, and we had just gotten married.
Oh, yeah.
So that wasn't really feasible. So we were just chatting, and my dad had been keeping bees for 20 plus years, and my mom always made these awesome products. And my husband and I got married May 2012. So we gave honey as our wedding favor, and it said meant to be, BEE, with our wedding date, and everyone had a fit over it. And so we thought, let's go into the honey business.
Because your dad was doing it as a hobby.
Right.
And your mom was the artistic one.
Right.
And
she made candles and salves and lip balms and soap.
wow.
And, we always gave it as gifts, and it was always around growing up. And we decided, you know what, this is something that we can do, and we can brand it right and do it right, only the best of the best.
Wow.
And it was kind of an idea, and Andrew actually said, well, what about mead? Honey wine, mead, Georgia is big.
I had heard of mead back in
2012, yeah.
Mead was it? What did you have it at the Renaissance Festival? How did you know about
I
mead?
think I saw it in a magazine somewhere, and then I noticed, I didn't really know what it was, and then I did a little research, and then I was like, oh, it's honey,
Wow.
And when we started, we wanted to, utilize our strengths. I mean, you want to be educated and passionate about something when you start a business, because that's what you're going to be doing day in and day out. So, it kind of just made sense. And
were you on board right away or were you like, yeah, that'd be fun?
I was a little bit like that, because I was still in school at the time, and I had plans to go to grad school because I wanted to teach college art.
Sure.
But Brianna kind of used her marketing abilities and
skills of persuasion.
was like, just give it a few years. You'll love it. And if at the end of a few years, if you don't, then you can, move on to school. So I was like, okay, all right, I'll give it a few years.
And it truly is a family endeavor.
Right.
It is.
Right.
Because you have Caleb, your husband, you have your mom and your dad still very, I don't know how involved they are, but they are involved.
Very involved.
Very involved in the family business. So you came on and you said maybe mead.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that was just something we talked about. And
had anybody in your family made mead before?
No. So Caleb, of course, we lived in Dahlonega at the time still, and it's wine country there, so there's vineyards everywhere. I worked at a vineyard in college.
Okay.
So at that point, he was like, let me just try to make mead. And he did, and it was not the best we've had. So we realized that there was a major art to making it.
A learning curve.
Big time.
Yeah.
So we decided to write our business plan with mead in it, but down the road. We wanted to establish, our honey company, our formulas, for our body care.
Sure.
And we wanted to kind of get that foundation set before we moved into a whole new segment. And so that's what we did. Andrew drew our logo.
I know you, because the first time I came over there, you told me about the logos and you were making pottery to hold honey.
Yeah.
What do you do? Tell us about your artistic endeavors there at at the store?
Well, like you said, I do graphic design a lot. So I do all of our labels and work with everyone for branding and just getting just our look with our packaging. So I do a lot of that.
That's nice.
Thanks. And then did the logo as well. And then we were in the business. We started in August, and then by October, we were thinking of new ways to, kind of add-ons to our store. And, I took several semesters of ceramics in art school. And we were just out, I believe we were outside on the porch, and we picked up one of my ceramic, it was like a sugar dish, and used it, and we were like, how about ceramics? Why not add that in? So
why not?
Like in 2 weeks or in less than 2 weeks, we were going to buy a kiln and a wheel and everything. And so we just
loaded the truck up with 1,000 pounds of clay and said, let's do it.
Let's do it. And so we brought it back, and then I've taught myself a lot by making a lot of it, and it got into making my own glazes, which is really fascinating and really interesting. And I make all kinds of stuff.
You had a whole workshop there at one point.
I did, and we're working on getting it back up and running. So to have more in the future, but I'm really excited about it. It was a really cool way to kind of integrate more of my, what I was trained for, and what I did in art school, every day, which is a real pleasure because not a lot of people that go to art school get to do that. So it was super enjoyable.
And you were probably thinking that you would be teaching is about the only way that you could have a career in your field.
Exactly.
And now you're doing this. It's so interesting that you both studied something that you were really good at and you were led to, and that resulted in such a good match down the road for your family business. What did your parents say when you first started talking to them about, hey, we might want to take this up a notch? And were they happy, or were they like, oh, you'll never make any money, or what?
Well, they were both retired, and they wanted to support us. And we have, our location is in Cannon, which is off the beaten path, but it's only, 12, 15 minutes from Hartwell.
Sure.
But it was a sewing plant that made jeans for Calvin Klein, Guess, and it was a jean manufacturing plant. So it's about 16,000 square feet of building.
It's a big building. It's
huge.
High ceilings and the whole thing.
Right.
It was a warehouse.
So
now, whose business was that?
My grandfather. So my dad's dad, and my dad managed that. So it was another family business.
Wow.
And then NAFTA happened, and everything became outsourced. So the business closed in 1996. So this building was sitting there in our family, and it was just kind of withering away. It was bad.
Vacant, and it was like all of their sewing stations. I mean, it was just the same, except it was kind of like a haunted house, kind of, because there were calendars with the Olympics and
it's like
photos. It was like a time warp. Yeah.
There was still Coke cans sitting on their sewing stations, and it was just an outdated building that my dad knew if he didn't do something with it, it was just gonna fall apart.
Sure.
And we also have a 200-acre farm in Cannon, and that was our family farm. And we decided, you know what? And they were really excited to have something, kind of a legacy. And they were both retired, and I don't think they really knew what we were getting into now that they'd have to start working every day again. They traveled a lot, so.
Isn't that funny? They hoped you would be successful, but maybe they didn't realize how much they hoped because they're still needed so much.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
They probably thought they'll sell a few jars of honey. We'll go to Acapulco.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're calling them while they're, in Italy, like, what do we do? And they're helping solving problems and things like that. And it's been a ride, that's for sure.
I will tell you, you make a pretty product.
Thank you.
It is a beautiful,
Thank you.
Visually beautiful product, and a delicious product too.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me is a lot of people might have taken these blessings and stepping stones and started a business and maybe stopped with just cleaning out the sewing plant and putting in, but you guys have taken it up in a big way from there.
Right.
Tell me about that when you first started, because as you said, you're off the beaten path. I found you because we had lost a dog.
That's right.
And we were out looking because the dog got away at the vet's office. And so we were out scouring the countryside and went, hey, what's this? And walked in. And so found the dog, by the way. But what was so interesting to us was that it was not an impulse stop on a main street or in a big mall.
No.
It was truly off the beaten path.
Right.
So it was not like you might have had curious people like us come in, but foot traffic is just not happening over there. So what did you do?
We were surprised. So when we originally started the building, it was in bad shape. So cleaning out, getting everything ready. We blocked off, I think, about 5,000 square feet and made walls so that we could have a sterile environment to bottle honey and make our natural body care.
So you don't think about that. And
Right.
You think
Right.
about, I'll have shelves for my product, but you don't really think about the level to which you have to go
So
to
if
prepare
you
the space.
had come into our building, and you see it now, it's hard to picture, but the front little lobby was it. There was one table, and then and that's it. And so our very first, when we opened, we thought no one's really going to come. It's mostly going to be online sales, which we sell on our website and Amazon, and then we're a wholesaler. So we really only thought that we would maybe a couple people a day. We were so surprised.
Really?
I mean, at one point I remember it was probably a month, 6 weeks into opening, there was a line out the door.
Wow.
And we looked at each other and we said, okay, something's got to give. So that's when we built our store that's there now. It's out of 10. And we thought, this is so big. We're never going to be able to fill it with things. And then now we're already outgrowing that. And then since then, we knocked out more walls, built the wine tasting bar, and then our front porch area outside.
Which is so nice.
It's so nice. And so we've kind of just evolved, but we, on any given day, and it all depends, but usually on Saturdays, we usually have at least a couple hundred people come through the door. And then throughout the week, when we left work today, I think we were at like 38 transactions.
Wow.
So you'd be surprised.
On a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday. Yeah, it's crazy. So, not every Wednesday's like that, but we've never had a day in business that not a single person came.
Wow.
So, that's pretty exciting.
That is exciting.
To be in Cannon, and like you said, off the beaten path.
So how do you think word got out? Tell me about how you launched and how you got the word. And word of mouth, certainly, because when people went, they went and told their neighbors and friends, wow, this is a cool place.
Social media, it's huge. We had...
and so y'all are at the right age to know how to work that.
Right. And that's really where I can, that's what I love. I love social media marketing. And we launched our page, and it was probably I remember the day we opened and the day we launched our website. We worked all day, we were just overwhelmed, and we launched our website, and we went out to eat dinner, and I kept looking at my phone, and there would be another online order, and there'd be another online order.
Wow.
And it was mostly from social media. And then from there, we just kind of grew that presence, and we started creating an email database for marketing and contacting our customers and telling them exciting events. And I think we always try to make it not stagnant. When you come in, there's something new. You're not going to see the same thing that you saw last time.
It's true. Every time I've been in, it's a different place, and I have to explore it again.
Right. And we move things around. So even if we don't necessarily get a lot of new things in, it looks different, and it makes you want to shop and look.
Smart. Yeah. Something else that you've done is, you said events. That was probably a real stretch for you. It's going into events instead of just having a store where people come in and transact. You're hosting, and you have these clever themes, and you tie in with philanthropy, which is wonderful. And I know Bo and I have been to the animal rescue events when you can bring your dog on the porch. Yappy hour. It's so clever. It's so fun. And when Bo and I have come there, we've not brought any of our dogs because there's too many. But but when we've been there, we think, well, we won't know anybody, and then we drive and we know everybody.
Yes.
Because we see people from all over Hart County coming there and enjoying the porch, and that's been fun. And you've got football Saturdays going on. I haven't been there. So you have a big screen TV, and
we do inside and outside, and then we have what we call our Nibbles menu, which is like an appetizer menu, and of course we have wine tastings, mead tastings. Mead is honey wine. and Bellinis. We do sparkling cocktails, and then we carry over 25 different types of beer. So we kind of have something for everybody. We even have craft soda for the kids and things like that.
That's nice.
And our next big event, and I haven't even put it out there, is October 20th. We're doing a cheese event with our cheesemonger.
So you have a cheesemonger?
We have a
do.
cheesemonger, and she's
Wow.
fantastic. She's
And where
so
do
great.
you find such a person?
I mean,
Google cheesemonger in my
Her
area.
parents were from Livonia, and she lived in Washington State. And her parents were became ill, and she came home to take care of them. Her father passed, and then she came home to take care of her mother. And her mother recently passed,
Oh,
so she now
sorry.
lives in Livonia. And she started, when she would visit her parents, she would come in and buy honey.
Uh-huh.
And I always thought she is the coolest lady. She's so cool. And she
Yeah.
had this really neat blog, and we followed her. And when she moved back, we got together and we said, let's do something classy and fun.
Yeah.
So we planned
Was
wine
she in
and
the
cheese
cheese
bar.
business in Washington State?
Oh, yeah.
Is this her-
She-
okay, so she already had that career.
One out of two. There's only 2 people in the state, and she's one of them that is the highest awarded cheese person.
Wow. Now, a cheesemonger is just somebody who knows
A cheese specialist.
a cheese specialist, and they know. We don't think about that because you have a huge selection at the grocery store. But I have had some of the cheese that y'all are talking about, and it's so out of this world good.
Oh, it's so yummy.
Yeah,
And paired
so somebody
with
that really
wine, it's
understands.
just-
Oh,
So
she
the 2
knows
of you, or
everything.
the 3 of you, really understand how to pair the cheeses and the wines and the meads.
Well, we're learning. She's taught us
Okay.
a lot. She knows everything. So the next one is we're doing a big grazing table. And if you haven't seen that, look it up online.
Okay.
It's like this huge table, and we're going to have meats and cheeses and marmalades and pickledy things. And she's going to be
yum.
there, and we're going to do pairings, and you can come in and have a glass of wine and eat this amazing
What's the best way to follow the business, just to know what's happening? Facebook?
Facebook, Instagram,
Okay.
definitely.
And they can always
Blue Haven,
look at the website, too,
definitely.
which is
BlueHavenBee.com.
BlueHavenBee.com.
And then Blue Haven Bee Company on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, not too hard to find. So let's go back to the mead. You went to Brianna and said, what about mead? And she said, what's that? Or something like that.
I was like, what is that?
And
Well-
then Caleb made some, and it was okay.
It was okay.
It was okay.
My dad made wine one time in the garage attic, and it exploded.
Yeah.
So we never even got to have any.
It's hard to make wine.
It is
It
hard to
is.
make wine. So you experimented with mead, and how much did you have to experiment before you got it?
Well, luckily, I feel like everything happens for a reason. And we, always talked about mead and put it in our business plan. But we had a new customer out of Clayton, Georgia called Noble Wine Cellar. And we met the winemaker, and we're like, man, he makes really good wine. And he said, you know what, I've always wanted to make mead. And we said, well, we want a meadery.
That's funny. We've been talking about that.
So he made several small batches of mead, and so we actually have a talented, award-winning vintner making our mead.
Oh, so y'all aren't making
No,
it.
we're
You're making it at the shop
Right.
with
Yes.
your materials,
Right.
but the operator who's doing it is the award-winning.
Yes.
How lucky can you be?
Right, and we partnered up with him, and but through the process, Andrew's actually learning how to make mead, and
Okay.
we were bottling today, and we are a farm meadery, a farm winery, and mead right now is the fastest growing consumer beverage in the United States. A new meadery pops up every 3 days, but only 5% of those are farm meaderies.
Are they just resellers of somebody
Right,
else's?
basically that means they just buy honey.
They buy their honey to make their mead.
Oh.
So,
So their honey's not as good as this.
Right. And so we're a farm meadery, which means
Okay.
we make honey and then we turn that honey into wine.
Wow. That must be a fascinating process. Can you tell me how it's done?
So, from harvesting honey, you go and get them at night, and you remove the supers, and then which is where the honey is
Super
stored.
bees or super?
Super. So a super is like this top.
I'm thinking super.
Yeah, it's this top little kind of shelf that has the frames in it.
Okay.
And then the bees put up their honey and inside of that and cap it off. And then you kind of drive them away from that down into the bottom and remove that. And when you take that back to our facility, we literally have a hot knife and it just skims the top part of the beeswax off, revealing the honey inside of the comb.
Okay.
And then we put that into an extractor.
Okay.
And then it spins extremely fast, and the centrifugal force pulls all of the honey out of the bee comb. So then the beekeeper can take that frame and put it back in a beehive, so they already have comb established, so it makes honey a lot faster.
Makes them easy for them.
Right.
It does. And then from that point on, it's, they put it through a fine mesh, which just gets any bee parts or any residual beeswax out of it. And then we put it in a honey bottling tank, and then it heats it up slightly to about around 100 degrees, and that lets any other impurities that are in the honey float to the top. And then we bottle it off the bottom of that.
Interesting.
So then when we go to make mead, we are putting gallons and gallons of honey into our fermenter, and then adding yeast and water, as well as some nutrients to get the yeast started off right. And then it ferments from there.
How long?
It just depends on, the temperature and this, but usually about 9 months.
9 to 12 months.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
A long time.
I was thinking you cook it a few hours.
No, I mean, right now we have 3 different types of mead in the bottle. We're going to be launching a new one probably in a couple weeks. And then we're working on our peach mead. We bought 1,000 pounds of fresh peaches from Chitwood's Orchard, which is a local orchard.
Yeah.
So we'll have a peach mead, and then we're working on apple mead as well as barrel aged mead. So, the aging process will probably in the barrel will take at least 2 years before we release that. So we really have to think ahead in order to keep our operation going.
Right.
And we just started selling mead online, so we can ship to 35 states right now, which is exciting because you have to have a separate license for every state. So it's been a process, but if you go on to bluehavenbee.com, you can buy our mead online, or you can come see us and do a tasting.
So if you've never had mead before, and when I have come in, I've tasted it there. But if you have never had mead, what do you say it tastes like?
Okay, it's the essence of flowers.
Flowers, honey. We make our mead not super, super sweet. We do have a sweeter one. But we try to make it where it's palatable, something that you can enjoy any time of the year. But it's definitely wine. I mean, you're looking at 12 to 13% alcohol.
Okay, same as wine.
Same
then,
as
right?
regular grape wine. It's just fermented honey.
I think I expected that it would taste like Chardonnay or something.
Yes.
And it doesn't
It's
at all.
definitely different.
Because it looks like white wine.
It
and so you
does.
think, and you smell, it smells like white wine a little bit, and then you taste it, and it's a totally different taste. It's totally different than anything I have ever tasted.
Ever.
So there's no comparison for me. I can't see it taste like
You can't.
grape juice, or it tastes like, because there isn't anything. that it
Every
tastes
day someone says, well, what does it taste like? And, well, it tastes like honey, but you need to taste it. It's an experience. Mead is actually the oldest form of alcohol. It's how alcohol was created, basically.
Isn't that interesting to think that you're drinking something that people hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago enjoyed?
Even the Queen of England now still drinks mead every day.
She
has
does,
her
and
own-
she's how old? She's up there.
And
Yeah, in her 90s, I think. She has her own recipe that is brewed for her.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I never knew that. I wonder how much she drinks every day.
I think a lot, probably.
That's funny because she's certainly hung in there.
She has.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. So, do you like mead? Do you drink it, if you're home and you're kicking back, would
for
you
sure.
take a glass of mead?
Oh, yeah.
We experiment with it all the time. With different things.
Andrew makes mead cocktails that we serve at the bar, and they are so delicious. We have
What kind of cocktails go with mead? I don't even know.
he makes a lavender ginger mead cocktail that is probably my favorite, and
Yum.
peach. and apple, and you can tell more
Is
about
that what a Bellini is, or is a Bellini something
Bellini
different?
is a sparkling. So we use La Marca Prosecco, so it's sparkling wine.
Okay, so it's got some fizz to it.
Right. So there's no meat in that, but we
Okay.
still serve that for some people just want some bubbles.
Sure, sure. But the mead cocktails, that's an interesting thing I didn't know that you did. So how does he know how to do that? Is he studying the bartender book? Or?
I got into making kombucha, which is like a fermented black tea.
Okay.
And then a part of that, the more research I did with kombucha, I found Jun, which is the same thing as kombucha, but it's, instead of adding cane sugar, you add honey to it, and then the honey kind of ferments with the green tea and makes kombucha. So I read about it in a book that I was reading about shrubs and how you can use them to flavor water or wines or beer or really anything, and you can use any fruit with them. So I thought, well, that would be interesting to kind of to use. So it's essentially a simple syrup, and you can add any fruit or anything to it, and then you mix it with the vinegar. So I brewed Jun and let it go to vinegar, and then I added that vinegar to the shrub mixture, and then add a little bit of it to wine. But you can add it to.
And then when you do all that, what do you end up with? I'm trying to follow shrubs.
It's really tough. It's tough to understand.
Like kind of like a stick mixable syrup, kind of.
Oh, it boils down to it. You condense it down to a syrup.
So it's like a mixer.
And use it to flavor things.
Yes, it's a mixer.
Okay, that
but
makes
it's a
sense.
fancy mixer.
Fancy mixer. Okay. I might like to try that.
Yeah.
You would like
So
it.
kombucha, were you making that for yourself or as part of the business?
I started for
because
myself.
that's got a lot of health benefits
It
too.
does.
He does it just for himself and brings it every day and drinks it and enjoys it.
Interesting.
I've been drinking it for a while, and then I thought, well, I'll give it a go at making it, and it's really fascinating. And I got a book and read, and then just started and fell in love with it.
See, most people play Free Cell on the iPad, and y'all are reading about new ingredients and things to do in your spare time, which is so neat that you do that. So, what else is new at the store? I know there's soap and lotions and honeys, and we've kind of got that down pat. And now you've launched the mead. You're selling wine. You're selling craft beer. Mm-hmm. And tell me a little bit about how you've taken this business. You've gotten it online, but you've also gotten it in 200 stores.
Right.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Do you go, is this like Shark Tank when you go knock on doors and you tell them who you are and what you've got?
We try to seize every opportunity possible.
Okay.
And from the beginning, there were things where we'd be like, oh man, that would take you out of your comfort zone, basically.
Okay.
And so we traveled a lot. We go to Atlanta. We would do a lot of shows. We worked with Williams-Sonoma and Marriott.
See, a lot of people get overwhelmed even thinking about going to Atlanta to market something.
Right. And we definitely, we just tried to seize every opportunity and kind of see, and through that we met a lot of people and doors would open, and we met some great friends in the industry, and through that more and more things popped up, and people contacted us through our website, or they tried our product and they loved it, and so they were like, well, I have this boutique, I want to carry your products. And so we're in small mom and pop shops. We're also in Marriott's, Ritz-Carlton's, Renaissance hotels.
In their health spa or
in their gift shop.
In their
gift shop. And then they use our honey as part of their charcuterie and things for their restaurants.
Oh, okay.
And then we are in Fresh Market grocery stores and things like that.
Okay.
But our honey sales are only about a third of the business. We sell more body care than we do honey, which is really fascinating, because a lot of people just associate us with honey, which is great because we have really delicious honey, but our body care is really wonderful too.
Wow. And that's also sold in all of these places.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. And your mead as well? Or is that a different kind of?
We started producing it. We started with 2 types, which you'll get to try today.
Okay.
And we sold out really fast of our original mead. And we said, okay, well, this is something we can kind of dive more into. And that's when we started pursuing our farm winery license.
Okay.
And then through that, we built our actual winery. And so right now, we're blessed and lucky enough that we're selling everything retail. But we are going to be the new brewery in Hartwell, Southern Heart Brewing, and we're going to be their featured wine, which is exciting.
That is great.
And you can also find our honey in Market 50 and all of our body here in Hartwell.
Yes.
But yeah, so we're now kind of branching out and getting restaurants and package stores and things like that all around.
That's fantastic. I'll never forget, I was at Lenox Square in Williams-Sonoma and looked on a table and saw Blue Haven Bee Company.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
That was early on. That was probably, I don't know, maybe a year ago or less. I don't know. But anyway, it was shocking that at first I thought, somebody's copying my friends. And then I realized this was the real product. And I remember the next time I saw you, I asked you and you said, yeah, we're in all of these places.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
So what advice would you give to somebody who's opening their own business? Because the last 5 years, in my opinion, 5 to 10, have been the most interesting in terms of people launching small business. You know, we go through cycles in life, and then prior to the last 10 years, it was big business. Nobody really went off on their own and did much. And now we're back to, I think the economy had a lot to do with it, the recession, and a lot of people, and y'all graduated coming out of the recession.
Right.
You a little bit before that. And maybe this was a better avenue than trying to land a job with IBM or one of the big companies, you know? So it's an interesting time to start. So there are probably other people who think maybe I could start a business.
Right.
Any advice, any thoughts?
Don't give up. Be really creative.
Be passionate about it, because you're going to be long hours. You have to do something that you love, because you know you can easily get burnt out.
Oh yeah.
So
how do you not get burned out?
There are times. There are times, you know, where we have to take a break, and I'm being honest, and take a step back and kind of regroup and have that mental health, especially after Christmas. Christmas is a big time of year for us.
Not only close family, you're working closely together, and your husband too, and your mom and dad.
Well, recently, Caleb, my husband, decided, you know, we've got the business up and going, it's doing well, and he's actually pursuing a new career, which is exciting, and that helps. Yeah, that helps a lot.
What's he going to be doing?
He is a financial advisor with Edward Jones.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah. So it all works out for a reason. We had our child, Miss Eden, 14 months ago, and so he decided to get a big boy job with insurance, and that creates a lot of stability so that we can continue to put our money back into the business so it can continue to grow.
And then you actually have something to talk about at the dinner table.
It's nice, yes.
It isn't related.
But we did learn how to work together, which was really unique. I mean, we were
That's
together.
a test of a marriage, isn't it?
In our first year of marriage, we were together 24/7. I mean,
because I think of the four of you as a family, your mom, dad, and two of you.
Yeah.
And then Caleb comes in, and he's suddenly thrown in with not just his wife, but the entire family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it worked. And he had never been a beekeeper, and he started managing hundreds of hives. I mean, it was overwhelming, but he truly loved it, and he does wish us all the best. And it's neat now because he can kind of watch it grow, and he comes and picks up our daughter actually comes to work with me every day too. So you'll see him in his suit coming in on Friday afternoons and stopping by and having a beer, a glass of wine, and hanging out. It's like Cheers on Friday night. We have our Friday night regulars.
Okay.
They come in after work. We have a lot of Hartwell people come too.
Well, I need to come over
You need
there.
to come, and you walk in, everyone says your name and says hello, and then...
So you're open not just events, but like every Friday night?
Yeah, we
Saturday night?
we say we close at 6, but I don't think we've gotten out of there before 7:30, 8 o'clock.
So this is not a late night thing at all for you.
No.
This is just come in the evening after work as a
After
transition.
work. Start your weekend off right.
Right, and then pick up a few things while you're there.
Yeah, just start your weekend off right, and everyone you just meet. It's just a fun group, and everyone
So
talks.
Friday night, you heard it here first. Friday night's a
Friday
hangout.
night is a fun hangout.
It's a fun hangout, and then Saturdays could be an event. But are you also open Saturdays?
all day, and we
Okay.
do wine tastings Tuesday through Saturdays.
And so, how does someone, if they have a charity or they want to co-sponsor something with you, they just get on the website and contact, or through Facebook or something like
just
that?
message us, contact us. We try to do Yappy Hour, which we'll be planning another one very soon, and we pick a local humane society or animal rescue group. And we do those, but anything. I mean, we're open to ideas and any way we can give back to our community. We're so lucky and we're so surprised that we've been supported so wonderfully, not only from Franklin County, but Hart County especially. So it's been wonderful to see that response. So any way that we can help, we do for sure.
Do you do things like bridal showers?
We rent the porch. We had a rehearsal dinner last weekend, last Friday night.
Because you can cater in. So
Yeah, we have a catering kitchen out on the porch too. So it's a separate kitchen, a separate space.
Okay.
Bridal showers, baby showers, rehearsal dinners, birthday parties. You can rent the space, and it's nice. And we can get catering information for you. If you want to bring your own food, you can.
Okay.
So it's a fun thing.
So it's almost an events facility with a boutique retail.
Yes.
With an operation and manufacturing.
Yes.
And that's just amazing. So for people who don't know, you talked about how many bees it takes to make one jar of honey. These bees are not in beehives right outside your manufacturing. These are spread throughout, because you told me one time the sourwood honey comes from a certain area. And
so it's migratory beekeeping. So we trailer the bees and move them while they're sleeping, and then we open them up and they're like, oh, we're at a new place. And so to get different types of honey, it's time of year and a high enough concentration of what kind of honey you're trying to make, basically.
Okay.
So sourwood.
So it's very proactive. You decide, let's make this type, and then you research.
Right. So it's times of year. So sourwood is our last honey flow. Coincidentally, we're one of the top sourwood honeys on Amazon. So we ship sourwood honey like crazy. So if you like sourwood honey, you need to buy sourwood honey.
It's true, because I have come in a couple of times and it's gone.
It's gone.
Or there might be one bottle.
And that's the thing with honey, you know, when it's gone, it's gone. We can't just go make more. And this year was a really tough year for sourwood honey. So we do have a limited supply. But we just moved the bees and we harvest all of our local honey, and then we put them on our trailer and move them up to, it's north of Clarksville on the Sequoia River. And they have a really nice concentration of sourwood trees, and
they have a nice view, and
it's very nice. Lots of bears. We have to build an electric fence, and there's a lot more to it.
Bears get into the honey, don't they?
Big time, big time, big time.
Interesting. So do you lease little plots of land, or do you have to go purchase? Do you have land that you own everywhere? Do you just lease little plots?
We're very lucky that we have made lots of friends who say, hey,
come on up.
Give me a case of honey and put your bees here.
Because they don't take up much room.
No.
Right.
And they're great pollinators, so
good for your plants.
It's great for your plants. And locally we have enough land, but when we do move them, we have lots of really great friends. And then we have a commercial beekeeper partner that we work with, and he has thousands of hives. And he does, that's how we're able to get orange blossom, because this comes from Tampa, Florida. So he starts super, deep into Florida, and then works his way up. And so we have been in his hives. We know his practice. He's a great friend of ours, and so we work with him.
Well, you would have to partner, because there's no way you can keep up with demand.
No, and there's no way that we could create so many different types of honey.
Right. That's right.
The wildflower honey is our local honey that we do produce locally.
Okay.
And the sourwood, we do produce that as well.
Okay. That's good to know for allergy reasons.
Very much, yes.
And sourwood, that's a tree.
It's a tree.
So they pollinate the trees, and then they.
So
that's a unique taste.
It is. It's a very unique taste. By the time you have to catch it in the right spot, because every year it's a little bit different. But you bring your bees up to the mountains, and by that time, most of the wildflower honey flow is kind of fading out. Those kind of blossoms or those flowers are not producing a lot of nectar. But one of the only things that is producing nectar is the sourwood tree. So that's how we know there's not a lot of wildflower in it, because wildflowers really aren't blooming at that time of year.
Well, that makes sense.
So the bees love it, because it gives them a chance to put up a lot of honey before the winter. And in that area of North Georgia, there's a ton of sourwood trees. So that's how you can kind of isolate single varietals. Like the orange blossom, they isolate them in the middle of an orange grove, and we know that a bee has a 2.5 mile radius of flying, so they can't exceed that. If you put them in the middle of an orange grove, they're going to get orange blossom.
That's where they're going to go. Right. That makes sense. So there's a lot of science to this.
A lot.
Yes.
And there's a lot to beekeeping. A lot of people, back before all the environmental threats, could put a beehive out and let it sit and then go get their honey, and they were good to go. But you really have to work them, and it's a lot of work.
You said environmental terminal threat. I never thought about that, but I imagine that what do you call poisons that you use on landscape? That's very detrimental to the bees.
It is. They actually, it's called neonicotinoids, and that is the chemical in it that is causing distress to bees. But they'll literally fly out to the plant and get their nectar from it, or fly around it, and then they get the neonicotinoid, and it makes them kind of like drunk or disoriented, and they can't find their way back to the beehive. So a beekeeper will go to their hive, open it up, and there won't be hardly any bees in it. It's just they're not making their way back.
That's sad.
And it is sad, and a lot of seeds are impregnated with the neonicotinoid, so
Why?
it's not
Why
even
would the
sprayed over it. They're genetically built into
They're
the seed.
genetically modified.
Oh no.
So
Yeah.
when it grows, it has that neonicotinoid. It's not necessarily that they're spraying a lot. It's just it's a part of the plant now.
So you could unknowingly purchase from your local nursery or Walmart or
when
Home
you're
Depot
at
Garden
Home
Center.
Depot, you need to look at the tag. It'll say on there contains neonicotinoids.
Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left, and
Do you want to taste some wine?
yeah, that would be great. So we get to actually do a wine tasting on the air, which is cool.
There's a first
Tell
for
me what's
everything.
I know.
Okay.
Okay, so this is our traditional wildflower mead. It's honey, water, and yeast fermented. So it's a basic mead.
It's health food.
It's healthy. It's very floral. It tastes like
So you want
honey.
to swirl it like wine.
Just like a
to get
regular
the-
wine. You want to open up those flavors, and
It smells good.
it smells like honey.
It does smell like
It's
honey.
hard honey.
Yum.
And it's golden. It's smooth.
That's delicious.
It's almost like dessert.
It is. It could be a dessert.
Right, but it's not overly sweet.
Not overly, no.
So if you like sweet wine, cheers.
That's really good.
And I know you typically don't drink super sweet. So this is, I would think this is kind of balanced, so as far as the sweetness for you.
Yeah, it's great. It's nothing. There's nothing overpowering about it at all.
Right.
I don't even know if I would know that this was honey based
Right.
if I didn't know. Because you think of honey as being very thick and very sweet.
Exactly.
And
A lot
it isn't
of
at all.
meads that we've sampled a lot of meads, and a lot of them now are really syrupy, thick. They're very,
that's what
very
you would
sweet,
think
And
it
they're
would
that's-
be.
sticky.
Right.
And
Yeah.
And you can only drink like a small, very small amount, which is fine. But we wanted something that that would be refreshing, something that you could drink on a hot summer day.
This is refreshing. I was going to say that.
yeah,
You could drink this at the pool.
at the pool,
at the
on the lake.
Or the lake.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
I love that.
or on your back porch.
Yeah. And you can pair this at the same way you pair wine
Yes,
with foods and things.
and meat is really versatile. You're not going to really have your red and white stereotype with meat. It kind of goes with
Oh.
anything, but I personally think this is fantastic with barbecue because you
Really?
kind of got that tangy barbecue kind of. It's really nice when you're grilling out. It's hot outside, or even when it cools down, because as you see, it warms you inside.
It does.
But it pairs well with anything. I typically don't drink sweet wine, but I love this after dinner. If
Yeah.
I want something a little sweet, then I'll
little
just
sweet
yeah,
at the
it's
end of
nice.
dinner.
Cheesemonger recommends a Parmesan cheese. I
Yes.
think that's what she paired. It
kind of an
balanced.
opposite.
Yeah.
It's an opposite,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Oh, but it's
that.
so delicious
That
with
sounds good.
Parmesan.
Now, you can come in when does your cheesemonger have to be there to have the cheese, or do you have it in stock if somebody comes
She
in?
has to be there,
Okay.
and we feature her from time to time. She'll come
So
in
what's
on a
your social
Saturday.
media feed?
Social media for
Definitely.
sure.
There.
She'll do
Okay.
a pop-up tasting that's complimentary. You can come in and just taste.
that's
and,
good.
And then she'll always recommend a nice pairing.
Okay,
So,
good to know.
so this is our wildflower.
Oh, y'all are
mead.
finished. Okay, hold on. Quickly.
Catch up, Tina. All right. And the next
Okay, that's
one,
good.
which I'm really excited because you have not had this one.
Okay.
We actually bottled this morning.
Ooh.
This is our Legacy Red.
Where does the red come from?
Okay, so it's interesting that you say that. So to make a mead, it's honey, water, and yeast, right?
Right.
So you can do.
That's it? That's crazy.
That's it.
That's all there is.
That's it. That's all that was. And
Okay.
so to get a different type of traditional mead, you can just change your different types of honey.
Okay.
If you blend fruit with it, it's called a mellow mel. If you blend grape wine with it, it's called piment. If you put hops in it, it's called a braggot, but it's all mead.
There's
basically.
subcategories of
There's
mead.
subcategories of mead.
Okay, so we just had the very basic,
The very
original
basic
mead. Okay.
original mead.
And this is a blend.
This is a blend. So this is a red wine called Chamberson that we blended with our mead.
Okay,
And
it's beautiful
it
color.
is beautiful. And we really,
great.
really like it. We sold out. We launched our Legacy Red Party. We had live music on the porch. We had several hundred people throughout the day. It was a big event. And we only bottled a little bit, and we actually sold out. We had to rebottle
You did?
it.
Wow, that's
So.
great. Thank you. Now, this looks like a light red wine, like a Pinot Noir.
Yeah. Well, Chamberson is like a Pinot Noir grape.
It smells so different than the first one.
Yes.
I like this wine tasting. Oh, that's really
Isn't
good.
that yummy?
Yeah.
Has a little more of the bold flavor from the grape
Yes.
Chamberson.
But you can still taste that honey smoothness.
Can, yeah.
But you can taste the grape in it.
Sometimes when you drink red wine, there's almost a very acidic or bitter, and you know, and this balances that out. It's so
Completely,
smooth.
yeah. And what we found with this is it's not really sweet, and it's not really, it's kind of really dry. It's in the
either. It's
middle.
in the middle, yeah.
So we found that our dry wine drinkers love this, and our sweet wine drinkers love it too. It's
good middle
So
of the
it's a
road.
really good middle of the road, and we're, you know, this is something that I would take home and drink on the reg, you know,
Sure. Yeah.
at night.
Yeah, I like this. I would do this. Would be my Saturday night cooking out at home.
Yes.
Yeah, my glass of wine at
Yes,
home.
for sure.
Tossing it back now. I just said I'm going to breathe all over the choir practice.
You can blame it on us.
Yeah.
It's part of the job.
Yeah.
It's tough too, isn't it?
Okay, that was delicious. I'm going to have to get some when I come by.
Yeah, we're
really
really
like that
excited.
a lot.
Yeah.
I would like to take that when you go. What's so nice about the mead is when I was there the last time, I picked up a few bottles, and when you go to dinner at somebody's house or something like that, everybody brings a bottle of wine, but nobody brings mead, and it's such a nice gift when you go to somebody's house.
And it's a conversation piece.
Yeah, it is.
You know, people may more than likely have not ever tried it.
What's interesting is at work, I do a lot of work out of Atlanta with some restaurants and commercial real estate, and there are restaurants now that are talking about serving mead. And so it's just now starting to come out in restaurants in Atlanta. So we knew it first.
We did.
Yeah.
Local. You got your local meadery.
That's right.
So this is the last one we're going to taste today. This is our Pollinator Piment. And so this is
Pilot,
another
you said,
blend
is a blend with hops?
with grape wine.
Grape wine. Okay.
So this is our driest one.
Yeah, and this
And-
smells even completely different than the other.
It does. It does. And
really
so
nice.
we're lucky that we actually were the highest awarded mead in the Georgia Wine Trustees Challenge. So this is our medal winner. If you like dry wine, this is the wine for you.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Have I had this before?
I feel like you have.
I feel like I have too. It's familiar. But then again, it's familiar too in a weird way, like your great-great-grandmother could have been drinking it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And we have a new one coming out called the Forager. And then, like I said, we have our peach, which hopefully will
Now,
be
the
ready.
peach will be interesting
peaches, yeah.
because of Chitwood. Chitwood's a local orchard
Right.
that comes to the Hartwell Farmers Market.
Yes.
So everybody here is familiar with them. So yeah, that would be really...
1,000 pounds of peaches we bought from them.
It's really nice.
And what's so crazy is most people that make peach wine buy peach concentrate. So we actually bought fresh peaches,
Wow.
peeled, cored, and got them going. And
When do you think the peach
we're
mead will
thinking
be?
maybe 2 months, so
Okay.
right before Christmas, hopefully.
Good Christmas gift.
Oh, and I, like I said, we don't drink super sweet, but it tastes like peach cobbler.
Yeah, it's really
It's
nice.
so yummy.
Oh, that'll
it's
be a good
so
dessert wine, too, then.
nice. Yes.
Good. Gosh, this is fun. Can we just stay here the rest of the day and taste mead? And
Yeah, we don't want to go back to reality. Just stay here and drink wine with you.
No. Well, cheers, y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in today. This has been so much fun.
Thank you for
thank you.
having
Finding
us.
out about your wonderful business and understanding. I still think there's nobody as interesting in the world as in this area. This area produces the more interesting people and places.
Definitely.
So thank you for being a part of that, most interesting people and places.
Thank you
thank
for
you.
having us.
I enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing y'all soon.
Yes. We
Thank
can't
you.
wait. Come
Yeah,
back.
I will. I'll be there on a Friday night.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Thank you for joining us today at Community Conversations. We really enjoyed having our guests, and thanks Wes Bailey for the great direction, and Randy and Hartcom for letting us be here, and thanks for joining us. I'll see you next week.